Joining us now is a Republican senator from Wisconsin, Ron Johnson. Senator, you serve on the Homeland Security Committee and you are its former chairman. What do we know about the origin of this Australia attack and any implications for America's Jewish communities?
Good morning, Chris. Well, we don't know anything more than what's been reported. It's obviously an action of anti-Semitic origin. We are seeing the rise of anti-Semitism around the world, most depressingly on American campuses. I appreciate what the Trump administration is doing to bring those universities and hold them accountable for, any type of, the dissemination of anti-Semitism. So this is something everybody in the world ought to be concerned about.
Okay, so turning to our second topic with Robert, what's going on with Venezuela. You've been, as I understand it, broadly supportive of the administration's efforts against the Maduro regime in Venezuela and hoping for a new leadership there. But the War Powers Act requires that the president seek congressional authorization for any military activity within 60 days of commencing hostilities. It has now been 103 days, and we just heard from Robert that another big escalation might be on the way. How does this comply with the War Powers Act?
Well, first of all, I don't think there's been a president since the War Powers Act was passed that hasn't viewed as unconstitutional. So set that aside. The Maduro regime is an illegitimate regime. They are heading up a narco-terrorist state that is poisoning Americans. And, from my standpoint, I hope that Maduro takes the hint and leaves with him still being alive, as opposed to requiring stronger action. But I'm sure that what President Trump is trying to accomplish is encourage him to leave so that the duly elected legitimate government can take power in Venezuela and really return Venezuela to what should be a highly prosperous country in South America.
Okay, we're packing it all in today. You have been working on an Obamacare alternative for as long as I have known you, for as long as you have been in the Senate, but your party tends to lose its nerve on this question. The president sounds non-committal about an extension of the current Obamacare subsidies, but pressure is growing. Time is running out. Do you see a way, we talked to Chairman Cassidy earlier, do you see a way to deal with something more than just continuing the status quo here before time runs out?
Well, first of all, let's properly define the problem. We're not talking about continuing Obamacare subsidies. We're talking about continuing the enhanced subsidies that has led to massive fraud. This is something Democrats passed for COVID. It's supposed to be temporary. They are the ones that set them to expire at the end of this year. Republicans had nothing to do with this. The only people affected by the lapse of these or the ending of these subsidies are the approximately 24 million people on the exchanges. If you have Medicare, Medicaid, employer-sponsored care, VA care, none of that is going to be impacted directly by this. Now, premiums are going up because of Obamacare has caused consolidation in the industry. So of the 24 million people on the exchanges, 22 million will just go on to the normal Obamacare subsidies. So they're not going away. It's just a flawed design of Obamacare. There's about 1.6 million people whose subsidies go away. These are people earning more than 400% of poverty line. I'm actually working with some Democrat senators to focus on that population. They were lured in retirement. A lot of them, they're not old enough to qualify for Medicare. They literally are facing, because of Obamacare, premiums in excess of $30,000 a year. I'd like to help those people. We can do that for a couple of $2 billion a year. We can fix, that is the problem right there. But Democrats have been very successful in making it seem like the other costs, rising costs in healthcare, are due to the expiring of these enhanced subsidies. Obamacare has caused this consolidation. The solution, Chris, is consumerism, free market competition. In the rest of our economy, it guarantees the lowest possible cost, the best quality, best level of customer service. Gee, wouldn't that be nice for healthcare? We've driven consumerism and the benefits of free market competition out of healthcare. We need to reinsert it.
How come Republicans didn't, in the past 15 years that you've been talking about this, how come Republicans didn't get to an answer on this before? What is the reason that it's Lucy in the football? Why do we keep coming back around on this when we're talking to Republicans?
Well, one of the reasons is because of the 60-vote threshold in the Senate. What was passed through reconciliation with 60 votes back then in 2010 is difficult to undo just through reconciliation. So it's been a difficult task. Listen, I was not impressed with our attempt in 2017. I never liked the slogan repeal and replace. I always focused on let's repair the damage done by Obamacare and transition to a system that works. That still ought to be basically the wording that should guide our actions. Repair the damage done, which starts with describing it. Our problem is we have Democrats in a complete state of denial. All they're trying to do is mask what a miserable failure Obamacare is. They want to throw hundreds of billions of dollars. They're happy to perpetuate the close to $30 billion of annualized fraud caused by these enhanced premiums, which created no premium policies. About 6 million people of the 24 million are probably phantom. And we've got reports close to $30 billion in fraud. Anybody who wants to extend these enhanced subsidies is willing to perpetuate that massive fraud. I'm not willing to do that. Most Republicans aren't.
All right, Senator, we're going to have to leave it there. We thank you. All right, America, if you were playing reindeer games in Rudolph, Wisconsin, you would know him already. But if you don't, there he is, Senator Ron Johnson. We thank you.